Okay. Hi, Facebook friends. Helen Archontou here, CEO of the YWCA of Northern New Jersey. So happy to have some time with you this morning. It's Tuesday and it's June 9th, and we have a wonderful conversation with you today about some ideas and ways to stay healthy while we're home, and also more conversations with business leaders in our communities to talk about how they are getting through this time that we have been social distancing. And we're clearly at the point where some of our restrictions are being lifted, and there have been some guidelines about getting out more. And with that, we've had some opportunities to introduce some new activities back into our lives, which is exciting, very exciting. A little scary, maybe too, for some, but definitely exciting. And today we're going to talk a little bit about our local farmers markets. And most communities have them. And we're excited to have Gray Russell, who is the founder of the Montclair's Farmer Market, and Lynley Jones, who is the owner of Adventure Kitchen, also in Montclair. And they're here today to discuss a little bit about their setbacks, supporting best practices as we move forward, and the importance of staying connected to your community and how it helps during times like what we've been going through. So let's start with Gary.
Gray.
So Gary wears a few
No,
hats.
it's gray.
Oh, I'm sorry. They have it's written as I'm sorry, it's written as Gary here. Gray, I'm sorry, Gray Russell. So Gray wears a few hats. First, he's the sustainability officer for the Township of Montclair since 2001, and he's initiated programs and provides information on sustainability and environmental affairs for the residents of Montclair, the municipal government, the schools, the businesses in town, and he's also the municipal liaison to the Montclair Environmental Commission. He also, in 1993, founded what is a staple of Montclair, the Farmers Market, which now is in its 28th season, which is so exciting. And, his slogan is, "We were local before it was cool." But the Montclair's Farmer Market was always cool, I have to say, as I've been going for a long time. And he currently serves on their board of trustees. Welcome, Gary. So, Gray. Welcome, Gray. Thank you for joining us today. So,
Good,
can you
Helen. Nice
tell
to be
us
here.
a little bit about the farmers market and how it evolved over these 28 seasons, which is an amazing legacy and record?
Yeah, we are currently one of the oldest and I think still one of the largest farmers markets in the state. When we started in '93, there were three farmers markets in North Jersey, and now there are over 100 farmers markets throughout the state. So it has really spread. And we do joke that we were local before local was cool, because this concept of sourcing your food and knowing where your food comes from, being able to speak to and ask questions of the person who grew your food or prepared some of your specialty foods, at the time was sort of a lost art in America, and obviously over the past quarter century, it has become really one of the biggest revolutions in food production and food distribution in the country, is this being able to choose and look for local sources of food. And we are very proud of that. Back in the early '90s, even before '93, there was there was in Montclair at a local church a CSA, Community Supported
Mm,
Agriculture, really sort of a small farm stand that subscribers could participate in. It lasted really just for 1.5 seasons, and for a variety of reasons, the farmer, I think there were two farmers, couldn't really maintain their supply, and it folded. But at that time, an employee of the New Jersey Department of Agriculture approached me because I was an advocate there for. This is before I worked for the town, but uh, this fellow from the Department of Ag asked if I would be interested in founding and starting a farmers market in Montclair. And not knowing how much work it would end up being, I said, "Yeah, what does it need? How do I find the farmers?" And he said, "I'll help you find the farmers if you can get your elected officials and your local commerce to all agree to host it, and you can find a spot. I'll help you put it together. And that's what we did. I went in front of the town council in the winter of '93 and proposed being able to bring in a farmers market to the downtown business district. At the time, the businesses in our central business district, the Bloomfield Avenue business district in the heart of Montclair, they were struggling in the early '90s, and they were always concerned that they didn't have enough shoppers, including on the weekends. And I proposed this market as a way to bring additional shoppers into the heart of the downtown, who would then be able to trickle out and go to some of the other stores in and around the downtown. And the council thought that was a great idea. I also had ulterior motives, which was to help family farmers in New Jersey, the Garden State, and to protect farmland in New Jersey. It was so rapidly decreasing throughout the '80s and into the '90s that I considered an emergency. And so I basically, once the council said okay, I went to our local business leaders. We had at the time what was called the Montclair Economic Development Corporation. It was really like a chamber of commerce for Montclair. And I explained the many benefits to other stores from having bringing fresh produce and other specialty foods into the downtown. That this would rub off on helping their stores, even a grocery store. It's often noted that farmers markets don't take away their business; they actually enhance it, because people get more accustomed to getting fresh produce, and they may buy stuff on Saturday, but by Wednesday or Thursday, they're going to need more. They're going to go back to their supermarkets, and they will be eating more fresh veggies and fruits, etc. We wrote some articles for the local press and did some types of interviews, maybe a little bit like this, and got the word out of what we were planning. And then that summer, actually in July 4th weekend, we opened, and it worked. We were in a small parking lot in the downtown. I think that was before the South Fullerton market, Helen, that you attended. This was on Glenridge Avenue. So very small. But after 2 years, I think we went over to South Fullerton, which was a great location. We remained there for, I think, the rest of that first decade. But then we were growing and expanding. We brought in, I think we started with 3 farmers and a local bakery. And that might have been about it. We added first a 4th farmer, an organic grower, and a couple of other specialty food purveyors. And we moved to the Walnut Street train station parking lot, which is where we are on Saturdays from 8 in the morning until 2 in the afternoon. And we've remained there for the past more than a dozen years. So about a dozen years right in the heart of the business district, and another dozen plus years up here at the Walnut Street train station. That's how we got started. That was sort of the evolution.
Yeah,
Now,
and
I should say we now have those four growers, the 4 farmers, but we have 20 specialty food artisans in addition. So it's really grown, but it is completely food. We are only a food and farm flowers is the only other non-food item, but we don't it's not crafts or anything like that. It's just food.
Yeah, I could say from someone who's been attending for years, watching the growth and the expansion of it has been wonderful. And it really is like a treat to go shop there and to stroll around. It does almost feel like you're on vacation. I always feel like, you can bring your bags and go and, talk to all of the different, people who, have their products there and hear the backstories about where they come from. It's such a lovely experience. And also you run into neighbors and you run into friends and, the kids see their friends, and it's such a lovely way to spend some time. So I really have appreciated your work in it and watching it evolve. And it really, again, because I have been going for so many years, I mean, it is a totally different experience over the years, but nonetheless still really strong and enjoyable, for sure. So I know you're getting ready for your big opening, and I also know you're reopening now because, we weren't really sure what was going to happen these last few months with, the way that with COVID and how it had, kept us all indoors. Can you tell us a little bit about your reopening plan and how you've had to make some changes to your operating policies to be ready for contactless opening?
Yeah. Yeah, so that has, so first of all, I think it's important to understand that we do run, it's become almost a year-round market, the Montclair Farmers Market, although we have our official opening in that first week of June now, and then, and it runs through the regular growing season till Thanksgiving. Because one of our farmers in particular does meats in addition to produce. He has beautiful poultry and pork and beef that he produces all and sells all year round. So he started coming back in the off in the off season after Thanksgiving, and then early in the even through the winter and in the early spring. And because he was there, a second grower, Treelicious, who produces apples and has apples and pears from the fall harvest, they started to come back. And because they were there, a couple of the other food artisans started to show up, and the public was there. And now, especially when the weather's good throughout the spring, it is still sort of ad hoc. It's not a formal market, but it's basically still there all year round. And with the advent of the COVID-19 emergency, we had to make changes over the past 2 months to prepare for our full opening, which is this week. So a few of the things are, we expanded the footprint of the four farmers, the four growers, so that instead of a series of canopies and tables and shoppers can walk in and walk amongst the tables and shop and basically be right next to each other, kind of like a supermarket. We extended the canopies and then the tables end to end, so that a shopper could be directed into one straight line. We call it cafeteria style shopping.
Yeah.
And therefore the size or the footprint of each of those four vendors took up more and more space. So basically, we used the entire parking lot where we host the regular farmers market was completely taken just with those four vendors. And we moved all of the specialty food artisans across the tracks. There is, because we are right at the Walnut Street train station parking lot, there's another parking lot right across the tracks, literally steps away. And so all of we call them the foodies. So the growers and the foodies. So the growers are on one side, the foodies are on another, really just for social distancing.
Right.
We restrict the number of shoppers who come in. So a line generally forms. We open at 8, but the line forms starting at about 7 o'clock. We let seniors in by 7:30. But we restrict it to about 50 shoppers at a time. And we have signage everywhere, and we encourage all of the shoppers to keep that 6-foot spacing. There are markers with tape and signs. We actually discourage now, we discourage pets and we discourage kids because despite what you said, Helen, you're right. It's such a social meeting place and a
Not
community
now, yeah.
center, but right now, it's not. Not right
And we'll
now,
get
it's not.
we'll get back to that for sure. And
Yeah.
the reality of it is, for now, it's important that it just is around, and still, we have access to, all the goodness that it brings.
Yeah.
But we'll get back to that. piece
Okay.
of it for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. We will. We will.
For-
Definitely will.
yeah.
Yeah. Mandatory
So,
masks for all the shoppers
yeah.
and for the vendors, and no more food sampling. And just because we're limiting folks, and in the same theme that it's no longer that
Keep them
community
moving.
gathering place, we don't have any entertainment now. We don't have the chef tastings, and we don't have a nonprofit tables set up with people providing information. We'll get it back. We're going to
Yeah.
start again, but not right now.
For sure, for sure. And I think, everyone understands that we're in that evolution time. And I'm sure just listening to you, and of course, running a nonprofit myself and understanding what it took to keep it open during this time, I'm just thinking to myself how here, you've been doing this, for so many years and evolving and growing it. I bet you never imagined you would have had to be figuring out, this chapter
Nope.
of the market. It definitely just when you thought it was kind of
Yep.
coasting and
Yep. The pandemic definitely took us by surprise.
yeah, yeah. Well, I have to say, I appreciate, all the work that you and your team have done great to help evolve it and keep it, going during this time. It's so important. And can I ask what your experience has been with the farmers? We've heard so much on the news about the farmers and how they've been impacted, by COVID. Um,
Okay,
how are
so
how are the folks we're
so
working with in the market
the
doing for?
growers have been telling us that actually the season has been good for them, as far as getting their crops in the ground, and what's coming up now. They're looking well. Um, in particular, also because of the pandemic, our situation is really that we are providing a safe and sanitary alternative to supermarket shopping, and and consequently, we certainly now allow our farmers to also purchase from other farmers, other regional farmers. There are auctions and markets for farmers, not farmers markets, but markets that farmers go to in South Jersey and near Philadelphia, where they can buy other produce from elsewhere. And they've not had any problems. There has been a steady supply. Starting in about 3 weeks, or in July is what we're planning, after July 4th weekend, we will go back to uh, stricter labeling, because consumers right now, they love being able to come to a place that's open air and safe and
Hmm.
sanitary, but they want to be able to buy a wider variety of produce than they can buy in a supermarket. They
Yep.
want
Yep.
more than they can normally get. That's what's being grown in New Jersey or around our area. So we allow the farmers to do that, and it's been okay for them. And again, when I quiz them and ask them, so what's it like in the fields, they said it's actually been okay. They don't mind rain and cooler weather, and that's kind of how the spring was. And so they're prepared, and they think they're going to have a walloping, successful summer.
That's wonderful. That's
Yeah,
wonderful. I know for so many of us, we are so concerned about the small businesses and the
yeah,
impact. Of course, we appreciated and, respected the need to stay safe during this time. But, we're ready to go out and support our small businesses now with the Buy New Jersey campaign. Um, can you remind all of our viewers how supporting the farmers market and that economic ripple effect that it actually has on our community to keep it sustainable and support it?
absolutely. There's many benefits. Certainly, bringing fresh, healthy produce into right into the heart of the community is a great benefit. And as you're going to hear even more from Lynley, bringing artisan foods and specialty foods right there is a great benefit. But the sustainability element, our shoppers are also very aware. They love this shrinking of the distance between farm and table. There are climate benefits and energy reduction benefits from that. I think people mostly are aware that we have a very energy intensive food distribution system in America. The average meal comes from thousands of miles away. Even in New Jersey, it's difficult to buy a head of lettuce in the summertime in a supermarket that doesn't come from California. And of course, our breakfasts come with bananas and coffee from other countries. So it's nice to be able to have these connections with local growers from our region. that also has, even pertaining to this emergency that we're in, it's got a resilience component to it, because when we establish and maintain strong connections with local food producers, we're safer than if in the future, if there are further disruptions or breakdowns of food distribution systems, because they say in New York City there is maybe a 3 or 4 day supply of food in there. So if some catastrophe were to happen and trucks and were not able to get in there, it would be ugly. But communities that have made these ties with food producers, they are safer and more resilient, for sort of a Jersey strong concept. And basically, it's not just the shipping fuels that are saved by finding local suppliers. It's also the refrigeration is not necessary, because a lot of times in the summertime, a lot of the produce was picked the day before. It's very fresh. So it has that sustainability component of supporting local food producers and local food growers, the climate benefits of reduced energy and shortening that distance. And I think our shoppers at the Montclair Farmers Market are very well aware of that, and they appreciate that.
Well, we have everything on our Facebook page here for anyone watching. If you haven't been, I do encourage you to go check it out. As I said, it's been a staple in my life for many years, and and even this year when it's just all about getting our good food and moving on and moving through, keep it in mind for the future, because there's always something happening at the Montclair Farmers Market
That's true. That's
that
good.
makes it more than just taking home a bag of groceries.
Yep.
So, Gray, hang around. We're
I
going to
will.
come back to you. We're going to talk a little bit to Lynley now.
Good.
And thank you for the conversation. It was really interesting. Lynley, welcome. We have
Hi.
Lynley Jones with us. She's the creator of Adventure Kitchen, which is also in Montclair. And Adventure Kitchen offers small batch spice blends, spices and hard to find ingredients online at her store. And she, at different times of the year, different years, sometimes has summer camps and other programs for young cooks, young eaters, ages 8 to 14. So tell us, I mean, my goodness, what a challenging time. How have you
Yeah.
made it through?
Yeah, it has been a real challenge. And I think, like every business person in America, around the world, frankly, just, rethinking so many fundamental aspects of the business. So, for us, like you mentioned, we normally like to do lots of different things. When I started the business, I called it Adventure Kitchen because, I personally am very adventurous and I'm interested in so many different things, and the business sort of follows along with that. Um, we have our spice blends and specialty ingredients. Like you said, this is
Mm-hmm.
our signature blend that I started the business with, called sumac and sage seasoning. We have this and many other individual spices and spice blends and hard to find ingredients. In addition to that, we use some of those really interesting ingredients and things to make prepared foods. Like frozen ice pops that we call spice pops because they have our spices in them. And then another thing that we do like to do, like you mentioned, is have summer camp. And and as a business person, all of those parts of the business go together to bring in the revenue that we need and sort of diversify our income in ways that makes it really sustainable as a business. All the different parts sort of work synergistically together. But in this, we have had to simplify, like everybody else. I actually wrote a blog post about how I feel like this moment is sort of calling all of us to think carefully about what our own essential business is. And for me and for Adventure Kitchen, what we've sort of pared back to is our spices and spice blends and the hard to find ingredients, and also other maybe in a normal time more easy to find ingredients, but we want people to be able to come to us for all of their spices and things that they would normally get from the grocery store. They can get them from us with contact-free delivery or curbside pickup at the Montclair Farmers Market, or just coming by our farmers market booth and having a safer way to shop than having to go into the grocery store on a regular basis.
So I have to applaud. I've spoken to so many small business owners the last few months, but the kind of the soul searching and the kind of creativity and the many people back to basics, what
Exactly.
you've done. But what a journey, that it's been for sure. Um, so the farmers market though has always been a great opportunity for small businesses to participate. Can you tell us kind of the impact that you feel that it's had, for you
Oh
as a
my gosh.
business?
Yeah, for us as a business, I mean, it has made all the difference. And especially during the pandemic, I am just so, so, so grateful that it happens to be that my business is considered essential, and that we have the farmers market where we can be. When the farmers market is not in high season, sometimes we have a pop-up retail shop that will partner with other local small businesses in town. Um, but we had to close that with the pandemic. And so, yeah, we are very, very reliant on the farmers market. And I'll say, too, as a person who, um, creates and introduces the products that meet our customers' needs, it is indispensable to me to have the personal face-to-face interactions and relationships with our customers. It is just I don't know how anyone can have a business without that aspect. It's every single week we meet people who are either accomplished cooks and they're looking for particular ingredients because they want to make, some special thing, or they just nowadays want to put food on the table on a regular basis and they know what they need. But we also meet brand new cooks who are struggling for the first time to try to figure out this cooking for yourself thing. And just it is so wonderful to be able to meet and chat with everyone and understand kind of where they're at. The other thing that we do is I write recipes and other food related content that's on our website. And so we're actually able to really have a relationship with our customers where they can not only just buy products from us to help them with their cooking at home, but also find recipes. And when we meet them at the farmers market, we talk about, oh, I see you have some Swiss chard there, and here's a great recipe for that. And whether it uses our spices or not, it's just, we're on a journey of discovery with
Hmm.
our fellow curious cooks in the world. So it's wonderful. It's really, really gratifying.
Well, I have to say, that definitely seems to be the theme of the of this quarantine time is cooking, right? Like you said, either starting it or playing with new recipes, and
Yeah.
we always used to maybe complain about making lunches for the kids a few days a week, but now we're
Yeah,
we're
exactly.
heavy
Yeah, it's a
into
little
it.
different.
A little. It definitely has created a different experience. So with that,
Yeah.
it's wonderful for people to experiment with, if they haven't tried your products before. We will be linking Adventure Kitchen. You can follow them on their social media as well. And I'm going to bring back Gray before we close, just to talk with the two of you a bit. I'm curious to there he is. Hi, Gray.
Hey.
So I'm curious what the two of you, would share with our small business owners that watch. You both have described, such a process of, evolution and soul searching, as I said, to kind of get through this time and to keep your, businesses strong and to keep the businesses you're working with strong. What are some kind of inspirations and words of wisdom and advice that you would share with our other small business owners that are still trying to get through this time? Gray, do you want to start?
Okay, I'll start. Yeah, I was going to say, I mean, Lynley does such a great job, and Adventure Kitchen is a great example of a small business that's making its way and is doing well, and it's got such great product. Um, uh, I think I think most people, and I believe most business owners, are cautiously optimistic that we're going through a very difficult and very unique situation that will resolve, and we will get to a place where commerce and sharing of products and shopping will open up and become more common and still safe. That will happen. I think the smarter businesses like Lynley's Adventure Kitchen are hanging in there and are coming up with. We all are just trying to make adjustments to make sure that our customers are secure and feel secure and know that we have a really great place to be able to come to shop at the Montclair Farmers Market on Saturday mornings from 8 until 2. And I think that all small businesses around the country and around the world are looking that same direction. That's what I think.
That's great. Thank you. What are your thoughts, Lynley?
I think, as I mentioned a minute ago about, sort of thinking about your own essential business in the world right now. And I think, for my business, that means being able to lend a hand to our fellow cooks in the world to be able to get through this time of struggle. And I think for every business, what matters right now is to really think carefully about what is at your very core. Why do you need to survive this? What does the world need from you? And then figure out how to make sure that you can survive to give that to them. And it may mean that you're doing things in I think for all of us, it already means we're all doing things in a very different way. But making the decisions you have to make, sometimes they're hard choices, but making those choices in such a way that you are going to be able to sustain and come out the other end to deliver what you deliver that makes a difference to people.
Well, great advice. And again, thank you both for sharing your stories and your evolutions. And, we wish you lots of success. You'll be seeing me, obviously.
Excellent.
And I hope everybody watching, as I said, we have the links in the comments right now, so you can connect both to Adventure Kitchen and the Montclair's Farmers Market. If you are not from the Montclair community, it's not so far to get to, but I also encourage you to seek out the farmers markets in your own communities as well. They are, all around New Jersey, no matter where you go, and it is a wonderful way to support local businesses for sure. And also, as Grace said, get great produce, interesting. I have to say, always something interesting and different. And the other thing that always happens for me is I try something and then I count the days for the week to come back so I can go get it again. Because something quickly becomes your favorite. Yeah. Because that you got to try something new and different. And all the social wonderful parts of it, of especially the Montclair Farmers Market experience will be back. But, definitely don't let that stop you from coming by this year. So with that, we thank you for joining us today, and we hope you join us later in the week. Tomorrow, we'll be having, as part of our Why Women Vote series, a conversation about gun violence awareness and prevention, which we have some wonderful leaders in our community who are focused on this issue to speak with us. On Thursday, we'll be talking to the Peak Performing Arts Center and getting some great activities and ideas for having some musical fun with our littles. And on Friday, we'll be having a conversation with some of our moms from our community to talk about mothering Black sons and the difference in conversations we have to have with them versus someone like me, a white woman mothering a white son. So we hope you join us and tune in for these conversations. Stay connected with the YWCA, of course, through our social media. Please connect with Adventure Kitchen and with the Montclair Farmers Market on theirs as well. And we hope everyone stays well. Take care of yourselves. Check on your friends and neighbors, and we'll see you all soon. Be well. Bye-bye. Thanks so much.
Thank you.